Hello, my people. We are here today. We are appearing a different style. At least we have Sister Muna here today.
They wanna.
Yes, please, Sister Muna, go ahead and greet our people. Let's see what we can do with the network.
Good morning. Yes, good morning. Good morning, my wonderful people. Ụtụ ọma nụ. Ụmụnne m ndị eji eme ọnụ, ụmụ Igbo ndị ọma, ndewonu.
Okay.
Of 2020.
The network is shaking, but we will go with it.
Okay, how is it now?
Okay, it's better.
Okay, I'll face it this way.
Okay. Please continue to share. Sister Muna in the building. Yes.
Ụtụtụ ọma nụ. The God of our ancestors is in control and we are doing well.
Yes.
We are well. Welcome to the program. We are absolutely happy to have you guys here today. As usual, continue to help us to share, like, subscribe, all those fancy things we need to do to get this message across to our people. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Sister Muna. Thank you, our viewers. Thank you, those that are stumbling on this video for the first time. You are welcome. Our subscribers, we appreciate you. Please subscribe if you have not, because you will need the information coming from this platform in the days ahead. A lot of things will be happening, but you will need to be informed so that you be in the right side of things happening. You don't become casualty anyhow, because if you do anyhow, if you see anyhow, we don't want you to see anyhow. So my name, of course, is Ekwi Eputasinam Madi Bege Eputasinandibo, because we are here to do good. We'll play our first video. Those that are new to our content, we play videos. The essence of doing that is, one, to give our people an overview of what is happening in different places, because our target is to bring truth, tell you the problem, and then tell you the solution. So that's why we play different videos, and then we bring up our slides so that our people can learn. It's a teaching program. We are not just creating content for having fun. No. Our intention is to make sure our people know the truth and then teach them how to handle the truth. Because it's one thing to know the truth, it's another thing to know how to handle it. If you get too emotional about the truth, you might become a casualty, and it's unnecessary. So we will teach you what the truth is, and we will also teach you how to handle the truth, and then tell you what we're doing and your part in what we're doing and how we can resolve our issues, because it's doable. Thank you so much. So let me try to pull up the first video. The first video is somebody telling us about what we already know on this platform. Will tell you what colonialism has done to us, what neocolonialism is still doing to us. So we want to pull it up. Please, Sister Mona, continue to talk. Let me pull up the first video.
Yes. Thank you so much. Welcome. You can see that the show that we have today is well loaded. Continue to help us to share. The more we know, the more we can do, right? We do not want to act out of ignorance, but rather being well informed will be our target goal, because once we are well informed, that means that we are armed with the right information to deliver the right goals. So I will let my sister pull the video.
Yes, trying to pull it up.
It came up, I saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was not going where I wanted it to go. It froze. All right. Let's try. Okay.
Do you know that Africa has been put in a structural trap by Western colonialism? It led to the results many parts of Africa is still facing struggles like poverty, malnutrition, and instabilities. Listen to African expert Fidel Kubo explains.
There's a very simple, straightforward explanation, which is the colonial legacies. And of course, a lot of people say, well, come on, colonialism is over. It's been, several decades since independence, but we have the unfinished business of decolonizing economic structures. So I focus on the economic structures that actually produce the results that we're looking at. So when it comes to the colonial role that was imposed on the African continent, it can be summarized in three basic points. Number one, we're supposed to be the place for cheap raw materials for the industrialized world. We still play that role today. Number two, we were supposed to be the place that consumes technology and industrial output from the global north. We still play that role today. And number three, and most importantly, we're supposed to be the place where obsolete technologies, assembly line manufacturing that is no longer needed in the industrialized world is outsourced to us under the label of development, cooperation, job creation, technical assistance, all of that. But effectively, what it does is that it permanently locks us at the bottom of the global value chain. That was the role we played during colonial times. And unfortunately, that is the role we continue to play today. So colonialism, of course, was not a system for development. It was not designed to achieve sustainable development goals or a just transition or justice or anything. Colonialism was a system of extraction, of abuse. We should not be surprised that the same colonial structures, economic colonial structures that persist today are producing these bad results of malnutrition, of poverty, of socioeconomic exclusion. So that's why in the context of the just transition and the context of decarbonization, we always say we cannot decarbonize a system that hasn't been structurally and economically decolonized yet. And when it comes to kind of the visible manifestation of these problems, the issue of external debt, that is debt denominated in foreign currencies, in dollars and euros. It is a serious problem because it takes a huge amount of fiscal policy space that doesn't allow our governments to invest in the building blocks of development and prosperity, such as basic health and education and infrastructure, because we have to prioritize paying the external debt. But external debt is actually a symptom of deeper structural issues that have colonial roots. Number one, food deficits. Number two, energy deficits. And number three, manufacturing deficits. And I can explain each very briefly so we can understand why these are fundamental. When I say food deficits, according to UNCTAD, the UN Conference on Trade and Development, Africa today imports 85% of its food. 85%. When less than 100 years ago, during colonial times, we used to be the breadbasket for colonial powers. And what happened is that there's a redesign of the system as soon as we gained independence. In 1955, for example, in Europe, at the Treaty of Rome meeting, the Europeans said we have a food security problem for Europe because they were so dependent on Africa. And that introduced the Common Agricultural Policy, which is in place to this day. So what is CAP? It's heavy agricultural subsidies to produce the core crops in Europe, such as corn and wheat and soybean and the core food security items. And of course, it wasn't just Europe that did that. It was the United States, Canada, Australia, the former Soviet Union, which is why Russia and Ukraine today dominate the grain industry. And what it did is that it forced African farmers out of business because they couldn't compete with the subsidized wheat and corn coming from the global north. So we had to redesign our agriculture to specialize in cash crops for exports: coffee, tea, tobacco, bananas, all the complementary items. So today we live in a world where we consume what we don't produce and we produce what we don't consume. And that's why we have real food insecurity on the African continent and the rest of the global south, obviously. So that's the food deficiency. Number two, energy deficiency. When I say energy deficits in Africa, I include our biggest oil exporter on the continent. Nigeria today imports 100% of its gasoline, not by accident, by design. Angola, our second largest oil exporter, imports 80% of its fuel from international markets. So we're constantly denied the technology processing, the technology for drilling, the technology for refining So we export crude oil, we import refined petrochemicals. You export the cheap stuff, you import the more expensive stuff. So you're always in a deficit situation. And finally, the manufacturing deficits, the fact that the only type of manufacturing base that we were allowed to have is the kind where we have to import the machines, we have to import the fuel to power the factories, we have to import the intermediate components to be assembled with low-cost labor, and we even import the packaging. So we end up with the value-added content of what we export is low value added, what we import is high value added. So you can double, triple, quadruple your exports, you're always locked at the bottom of the value chain. And here's how it's manifests then. You have these structural deficits, the most fundamental areas. As you know, no country can function without food, without fuel, without manufacturing. So we have structural trade deficits. And what structural trade deficits do is that they weaken our currencies relative to the dollar, relative to the euro. And with a weaker currency, anything I need to import the next morning, whether it's food or fuel or medicine, you import it at a higher price. So we literally import inflation in the most sensitive areas of the economy, therefore hurting the most vulnerable people in society. And that immediately forces our governments into a defensive position to protect the most vulnerable. So what do? We subsidize food, we subsidize fuel, which makes sense to protect the most vulnerable, but you can't do that for 8 decades. And we ask our central banks to stabilize the exchange rate, to fight inflation. And the way they do it is by using a band-aid solution, which is borrowing more dollars. And that gets the external debt into a vicious cycle that is unsustainable, which means now the government is completely obsessed with prioritizing economic activity that will allow us to earn dollars as quickly as possible so that we service the debt. And we deprioritize economic activity that is actually transformational, that is actually the foundation of development and prosperity. And that is the essence of why we neglect so many of the priorities. And that's why a lot of the fiscal policy space that our governments have is dedicated to servicing the debt, which is by design the colonial architecture that was imposed on us. So that's why we say we can't really achieve the sustainable development goals or a just transition or any of the goals that we want to achieve under a system, an economic system that's still structurally colonized when we have economies that are technically steered from abroad.
Subscribe for more analysis on world news.
So you've heard it. Sister, do you have anything to add? Hello, Sister Mona, are you there?
Yes. Girl, are you surprised?
No, I'm not at all.
By this brother who's doing great work in identifying the issues, because a lot of us don't know what is going on. We know that something is going on, we just don't know what is going on. So he did well in articulating as to why we are not able to move forward.
Yes, it's a system problem. Please, our viewers will manage whatever you see.
Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can hear. It's back again. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying that when we have to borrow for fuel and borrow for food and borrow for everything, you can see that you're not really building nothing. Rather, all you're doing is consuming. So which economy goes by consumption from other places? And to make it worse, we are not even producing enough. So we produce what we don't need, and then we buy what we don't really need. It's like double negative, any way you look at it. You know. So yeah, my brother did a good job in articulating that to our viewers.
Yes, and what we've been telling our people is a system problem. It's a system problem. It's not, you have to bring one man to come and do this, or bring one woman to come and fix this. No, it's a system problem. So we have to fix the system. It's a new system we need. It's not even like managing the system or trying to see whether you amend the system. It is a colonial system. It's like slavery. What did you do to slavery? Transatlantic slavery. Did you amend it? You abolished it. So it's a colonial system. We need to abolish the system before we now start. So we'll pull up a new one, another one for you, our sister, to tell you what the system is. The system is, it's like what you're suffering is by default. That is what the system was put in place to do. So if you want to end the suffering of the people, you will end that evil system, period. Listen to our sister so that you will see what we're saying.
Is perfectly designed to get the results it achieves. That's what we have to appreciate. These systems, if people say, well, how do we fix them? They're not broken. They're designed to produce exactly what you see. Mm-hmm. There's no fixing them. There really isn't, because they're perfectly designed. We need new systems, right? These systems, as they're set up, are designed to do exactly what they're supposed to do. Women have a certain position, people of color have a certain position, white people have a certain position. When you look at law enforcement, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, how do we fix it, Joy? How do we fix it? I said, you can't fix it. You know that policing, for example, in America, it came from slave patrols. Right. So the actual where it was derived was terrorism. They were terrorizing enslaved people that had been freed for fear that there was going to be a revolt. It never happened. You realize that they still punish us over this notion of fear of what we're going to do, because and that's their pathology. Mm-hmm. I mean, that really is their pathology. But if it actually came from slave patrols, what makes you think it's there to protect you? It's not designed to protect you. It may occasionally, but that's not what it's designed to do. Every system is perfectly designed to get the results it achieves. That's what we have to appreciate. These systems.
So we have to appreciate, because like we said, on this platform, we tell you the truth. We bring the truth to you. We go and research, bring the truth to you, and then guide you on how to handle the truth. The system is designed to do exactly what the system is doing. She's talking about what is happening in America, and then is the same thing happening in your neck of the woods, in Africa, in Nigeria. Nigeria is doing what it was set up to do. The system you have in Nigeria is doing what it was set up to do. It's not by chance. It's not by chance that you are so poor while living in number 6 oil producing country. It was designed so. It's not by chance. It's not a mistake. It's not coincidence. So if you want to help us to deliver the people of Africa, if you want to help us to deliver Nigerians, you must join in bringing down the colonial system. The way there was an outcry against the transatlantic slave trade, and then we had abolitionists coming up from Christian world, from humanity, from social, from everywhere. Everybody came. That's the same way there has to be an outcry against colonialism and neo-colonialism in Africa and in Nigeria. It's not what you amend. It's not what you try to say, let's see what to do with it. The system needs to go down. We need a new system for the people. If you actually care about the people, it's affecting everyone. Throughout the show, you're going to see, and here, we present it to you so that you understand how it's affecting you. I'll allow my sister to continue. Please, Sister Mona.
Oh, absolutely. The system must come down. And we keep reminding you guys, as mothers giving birth to children, as fathers giving birth to children, it is our responsibility to make sure that we do not leave this mess for our children. We got what it takes. We really, really have what it takes to fix this system. But it starts with you knowing what is going on. Because for years, the church will tell you, oh, it's the God. Don't worry, the God that you serve is coming. You will pray. Just pray. Your enemies are holding you down. Pray, 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 pray. As we're speaking, there's something called Shiloh going on. and people are packed there in Sardine thinking that their world will change, and they've been going to that Shiloh for years now, and their lives are the same. Their so-called Nigeria has went back to oblivion, to what it was even before our forefathers, worse than anybody can imagine. But they are praying, and we're telling you that is system change that will bring that change that you're praying about. Is system change that will allow you to change, send your child to college, sell your land, send your child to school, and your child will be able to get a sustainable job. It's a system change. In our own case, it's a constitutional arrangement that has trapped us and keep us down where we are not able to move forward. And those benefiting for the system don't want it to change. They are the religious leaders. They are the ones in oil and gas because they make all this money and they are telling you, oh, it's working. Yes, it is working. It's working for them, not for us. And we're saying that it's all about community well-being. That's what we're advocating for. Community well-being. We are looking for all of us. Unudum, ebe bere ugo bere, as our forefathers would say. All of us. Thank you, sister.
Yes, community well-being. It's not just my individual well-being. Oh yeah, Odigoromuma, I'm okay now. My children are in London, my children are in USA, my children are this, my children are that. And then when you are 90, you'll be there all by yourself because your children, you have given birth and scattered them all over the world. That's not the will of God for us. If you are reading your Bible, He said that your children will surround your table. It's not that you should give birth to them and spread them all over the world for them to go and be while you die in loneliness. That is not the will of God. So like we usually do, when we bring a problem, we also bring solution. We're going to play Nina's, this time is audio because it was in Clubhouse. We told you that every Tuesday, there's Clubhouse session where Brother Tony himself educate our people, talk to our people, and tell them what they need to know, what they must know, and what they must do, and how they need to do it. So please pay attention. We play it. It's long, then we break it and then explain to you. Listen very well. Thank you. It's audio, so we need people to just pay attention. Continue to share, like, and subscribe because this information has to get out. Thank you.
You see, Nigeria has dwelled so much, so long in evil that the proprietors oftentimes forget that there are forces higher than human in charge of the affairs of men. And so, every now and then, they come face to face with the nemesis of what they did yesterday. What is going on now in the tax reform that has become a fight to finish between the members of the Alliance of 1967. This is one of the rare occasions where all their options are bad. They're not going to find common ground because their interests are mutually exclusive. There's also matters of existential threat in which if one side does not find a resolution to the situation that has arisen, it will be costing them their very existence as they know it. There could be potential, like Nigeria has had potential from beginning, which has not been realized. Oh, no place is poor, no state is poor. Wonderful. But why have they remained this poor? All the while, with all the potentials underneath that have not been tapped. Nigeria imposed an anti-development unitary constitution, an anti-innovation arrangement, an anti-progress everything that will make you build up your environment, your country, your region is rendered impossible by the constitution they chose. Why did they choose that constitution? Because it was convenient for them to encircle the economic assets of one part, beat down the people, and it became the property of federal government. The federation died. You imposed an illicit federal government that had been the exclusive business of the two sides to that alliance. And that was why we selected this broadcast to provide evidence to those who may be listening that it is a clearly designed exclusionary measure that the federal government, the Federation of Nigeria, will be under the exclusive control of members of that alliance of 1967 that had to beat down Eastern region to be able to take the assets of Eastern region as federal government assets, which became the only means of livelihood, the means of sustenance for the union. And so, having taken it for this length of time, having rendered that Eastern Nigeria practically unlivable, yes, you may go to Port Harcourt, you may go to Warri, but there's also a Nugu and Aba and Onitsha and Nnewi that should have been, if not for what Nigeria did in that space. Nobody will know when, as you pass Benin, heading to Asaba, you won't know when you get to Port Harcourt, from whichever side, because it will have been development and development. It will have been just like another Lagos in which you are traveling from Ikeja to Epe, you know. But what did Nigeria do? Shut down everybody, cut down everybody, destroy the infrastructure. Is it not the same Atlantic water that flows all the way through? Why are the people who are generous? Because now they call it a fancy name. It is that restructuring. It is that constitutional reconstruction of Nigeria that they've been trying to evade that has come to meet them at an inconvenient juncture in which they can no longer postpone it. And if they try to solve it in the Appian way they are trying to do, because the better thing would have been to go to solve the entire thing. If Tinubu is hoping that he will, by that constitution they all imposed, hang on to the oil and gas assets of Eastern Nigeria, and then turn around to take 60% of all of what is now accruing in the form of VAT, in the form of company taxes, in the form of all the other revenue, the port monies, custom duties, and all of that. Let him be reminded. Let the loafers that hang around him be reminded that it was that alliance that shut down the eastern half of southern Nigeria. There's something they call Eastern Economic Corridor that was shut down at the commencement of the war in 1967. As I speak with you, that Eastern Economic Corridor has not been opened up. That's why the ports, about 3 ports that should have been functioning there, Port Harcourt port was there, the One export processing zone came to join it. The Calabar port there would have been the way nature made it. If you sweep down from Obudu, going all the way down to where the Atlantic, you will see that it will have been the most functional deep natural port, the natural deep port. That is nature dropped the rock into the sea in some place. That means you only need to do just make sure you do the drainage clear whatever sand made. But so all these things were locked down. Then everybody had to come to Lagos. All the companies had to be headquartered there because you destroy the infrastructure on the other side. Destroy the environment, destroy the electricity, destroy the roads, destroy the railway, and you force everybody to one corner. And then you turn around now to want to seize while you are still holding on to the one you seized by constitution. Okay, VAT is a consumption tax. For the senators that are running their mouths from that part, VAT is a consumption tax. What about the production tax? What about the production side? Because it is in that production that you have to go back to the derivation. If you want derivation for VAT, 60% derivation for VAT. What is the argument? What is the case for not wanting derivation for production tax? Because that is what the oil money that they are sharing in Abuja is. And so the north of turning Bayelsa oil into Jigawas, almost to the exclusion of the owners, is now holding the short end of the stick when they are co-traveler in that evil alliance that has brought Nigeria to where it is, because it is that alliance, it is in the wisdom, let me not call it foolishness, it is in the wisdom of that alliance to lock down its most productive parts in order to steal and share oil money, that they rendered the country unworkable. The unitary constitution that conceptualized everything, 68 items of exclusive list, is like being tied up into 68 places. One on the leg, the other on the other leg, hand, waist, neck, blindfolded. That is what that 68 item exclusive list is. Why can't we accept that this whole thing is not working?
We'll break it and then we'll continue. Sister Mona, I don't know if you are around, if you want to add anything. Why can't we? You see what we're saying, like somebody stabbing his or her foot. You lock down the most viable segment of your existence. And then it's like you enter a vehicle, put it on stop, put brake on it, step on the brake pad, and tell people to push you forward. That is what we are doing in Nigeria and all other colonial, other places where they have a colonial system, Francophone, or the whole Africa. And we are telling our people that it is intentional. That's the model of colonialism and neocolonialism. They will call it one name or the other. They will come under one thing or the other, and they will make you think that you are existing in democracy. But you are not in democracy. Your land is still locked up. That is why you are so incapacitated. While we break this thing down, we know that they made our people sometimes to have what you call attention deficit. Osinantinkaba, osinantinka fipu. You are telling somebody this is the problem. You say, huh? No, I don't see it. It is all part of the destruction. We know here, we'll talk a lot about why they use religion to distract you. The religion they brought for you is not to teach you God. Your ancestors already knew God. They were already interacting with God. That's why they got so much inspiration to do so many things that you see and baffle. Like you see and like, wow. So we knew God in Africa already. The religion of the white man, the religion from Arab world, they did not bring God to us. It was intentional. to distract us, to make us go in circles. And that's why you see there's so much hatred, so much insensitivity to human feeling, because everyone has been reduced to the floor. Survival of the fittest. Anything happening, I have to survive first. I have to eat, I have to chop. You don't care about whether your friend, your neighbors, what is happening to them. You don't care. You just want your own. So they made people become so selfish. And that's what happens. There's a triangle we call a hierarchy of need, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you are the base of that triangle, or base of that pyramid, the thing that will matter to you is survival. Let me chop first. Because your basic need, air, food, just let me chop and be alive. It's only when you get to the top, you start talking about self-actualization. So that they intentionally reduced us. And that was what we're saying. That we need to fix the system first. It's not your brother, your sister, or whatever. No, we need to fix the system first. So let's continue to listen to Bro Tony breaking down the problem, because eventually we'll bring the solution. Thank you. Listen, please. Pay attention. Pay attention. We are talking about all the changes going on right now in that Nigeria. The network is delayed. So please pay attention. Hold on, bear with us. I'm trying to pull it back up. Maybe I should have allowed it to just keep playing. Please hold on. Wait. We're getting back to where we were. If it doesn't play, then we'll move forward. Okay, I think it's back.
One on the leg, the other on the other leg, hand, waist, neck, blindfolded. That is what that 68 item exclusivity is. Why can't we accept that this whole thing is not working? Why do we look for shortcuts to go and solve one little part and leave out the rest leave the rest? Okay, Tinubu has come now. He wants to grab the one that will favor him. Tomorrow morning, somebody else will be president. Then he will reverse everything. So the place is in constant turmoil. Why can't we, for once, speak the truth to ourselves that this whole arrangement is not going to work? In the midst of it, to tell you that God has never vacated his throne and he will never. In this same period, that same Tinubu is hopping around in France, signing off all kinds of documents without consulting anybody. France have been kicked out practically in all the places they are in West Africa. Niger kicked them out. Mali kicked them out. Burkina Faso kicked them out and all their military bases. Senegal has also shut them down. Chad is joining. So it's a sweep. They've been dislodged from the entire sub-region. And they're not in East Africa or Southern Africa. It is in West Africa they've been. From where they went to do the mischief they're doing in North Africa. Now they've been kicked out of all those places. In their desperation, Nigeria becomes the place they have to try to grab. And when we look back at this thing that came through from the courts in the US, that Tinubu is an active CIA agent, meaning that our sovereignty is now mortgaged. It is what that the West wants. All these policies of suspension of what do they call it, the withdrawal of fuel subsidy and the floating of naira. These are standard IMF World Bank prescriptions. How did Tinubu get into those policies? If Nigerians had known that he was a CIA agent, meaning that whatever they have with him or against him or on him, it is whatever they want that he will say he's their agent. How can your president, the custodian of your sovereignty, now be the agent of the very one that hijacked that tried to hijack that sovereignty with colonialism and neo-colonialism? They are the ones dictating these policies. And if France is desperate enough to have something, France will go to their own alliance, the head of the alliance, the US, to say, I have a little problem in that place where you have their man in your pocket. If there's something the US wants that France has to do, I'm sure you hear about all the altercations in NATO. I'm sure you hear all kinds of other things about if Trump comes back, what Europe may want to have to reconsider. So there are all kinds of disputations going on between them. So they're going to trade in one thing for the other. America has Nigeria under this interregnum, presidency. America can trade, can sell anything they wish, because your president is the houseboy that will only sign off wherever they ask him to sign. That's what he went to sign in France. I'm sure you saw the video, the short video where this fellow that talks all the time, or talking on behalf of the North, that will not allow France to come and set up military bases in northern Nigeria, because that is what your president is going about discussing in nocturnal meetings with them. The France that is being kicked out is now going to come to Nigeria. All your solid minerals will be in disarray. That was how DRC, that's the Congo, that was how they got to where they are. Look at all the places they've been. Look at the turmoil in those places. See what they did in Mali. See what they did in even this Niger. See what they've been doing in Burkina Faso. Look at Ivory Coast and what they've been doing there. And so it takes the military base. And so now, back to Nemesis, back to the forces of heaven that preside over that rule over the affairs of men. You heard in that clip, what's the name of that fellow? If somebody remembers it, remind me. I'll check it out as I speak. He says the North will do whatever it will take, that whatever kind of fight we have to fight to prevent France from coming to set up military bases in their place. And so that alliance of 1967 are suddenly confronted with two heavy issues that are both of existential threat nature to the senior partner in that alliance that has for now lost the steering in the government house of Asura. And so the junior partner is overthrowing them, overthrowing all of us, that's the state capture that has happened. Is reason they are now having to fight among themselves. It is not by accident that it is at this time that fight will arise. If the North will allow Tinubu to set up French military bases in their place, they can forget that society across the next 50 years. That is, it will go up in smoke from where they will now expand rapidly into the south in search of the other things that are only the south, the oil. Yes, the man's name is Professor Usman Yusuf. His analysis on that very point is factual. And so, how does it relate to our project? We have an opportunity to insist on a comprehensive reconstruction of the constitutional architecture of Nigeria, starting with the negotiation for whether we want to be in union in the face of the defeat and the ongoing decommissioning of the 1999 constitution. Somebody may say, oh, the government is still carrying on. They can deceive themselves as much as they like, but if themselves, why is it the talk of constitution that is all over the place? And if everybody now agrees that that constitution is the source of all the miseries of Nigeria and the woes of Nigeria itself, if everybody now realizes that that constitution must be taken down for any progress to be made, you had Ade saying it in Senate and all kinds of other people that are now, reinforcing it in the public space. Before you begin to solve the problem, if you have something that can be used to solve the problem sooner than later. Luckily, those who are suffering from hunger, you saw it on the front page of Tribune the other day, those who are suffering from hunger are now pointing at restructuring as what has to save them from hunger. It wasn't so before. And so there is also that concern that there's that urgency that has been placed on the situation because of the hunger and the collapse of the current the economy and the currency. All kinds of things that have now made it so very urgent, an emergency that can no longer be postponed in terms of that restructuring. Will anybody want to be the case for going to another election before we come to, because whoever wins at that next election will still have to govern by this constitution that guarantee all the atrocities, that guarantee the misery, that guarantee the killings, that guarantee the impoverishment of the scale that has never been seen, that guarantees the corruption we see, that guarantees immunity for the impunity we see. It is the immunity that creates impunity. Remove the immunity and you see the death of impunity. But that constitution, provides a blanket cover for those, the principal beneficiaries of the humongous corruption that the constitution mandates. Because when the constitution gives the spare key of the treasury to the heads of the executive branch, it is mandating corruption by the appropriation provisions.
Yes.
When the constitution declares that the benefits of the citizen in the social contract is discretionary to those in government house to perform or not to perform, section 6C, it is providing an avenue for corruption because they don't owe you any obligation.
Exactly.
The government does not owe you any obligation for all this trillion you hear about. There's no part of it that is meant for you. Rather, you will see how they are sharing it every month. Now that they are going for Christmas, I won't be surprised if this $2.5 billion they borrowed the other time is to cover their Christmas expenses.
Yes, we'll take another break. I was trying to pull up what our brother Waris Jinadu. Sorry if I destroyed your name, but because we say drop your comments. We say this show, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook, drop your comment, drop your questions. If we don't get to you in the show, we'll get to you eventually. So they know what they're doing. And brother Waris said, Shetima said restructure Nigeria my foot before assuming VP presidency ticket. Of course, they know what they're doing. So that's why we keep telling our people that it is not the politicians that will solve this problem for you. You voting them in, going for election, going to vote 1 cent, the cent that is a virgin, but is in the labor room, about to give birth, it is not going to solve the problem. You, the people, you, the indigenous people, we work together with other indigenous people. Together, we take back our power. Under Nina's, every step is broken down. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. Because we know that if you do it a wrong way, the system will come for you. The system have been put in place to keep you down, to distract you and not make you know that are the ones keeping you down. Then you keep fighting your mother, your in-law, your neighbor, your elderly people. And then when you now know that they're the ones holding you, and you start like, gra, gra, I want to fight, they will come for you. That is why we said on this platform, we will give you the truth. We will guide you on how to work with the truth, because we understand the danger. We know what is at stake. The strong man does not want you to be free. The existence of the strong man depends on your ignorance and even your death. So that's why it's important for you to be guided. It's not emotion. Oh, I'm so angry. I lament. Yes, I will slap somebody. I will kick somebody. I will do. No. If you do that, you're playing in their terrain. That's what they want you to do. They want you to be emotional. They want you to come charging at them so that they will use the weapons of mass destruction, which they've already built, to destroy you. Somebody wanted you to be destroyed before. You gave the opportunity to destroy you. Are you not making the work easier for them? That's why we said there's a process. You must follow. You must understand. It's step by step. You will be guided. Yes, we can do it. But we must pay attention to understand. That's why we come here and break it down for our people. Going for election, general election, allowing the election to even hold is against your prosperity, is against your freedom, is against your liberation. Because we have a work. We have something that needs to be done first, which is bringing down the colonial system. So it's not about your uncle, it's not about your brother, it's not about your mother, it's not about your sister, it's not about your aunt. It's about our collective interests, our collective existence. That's what it's all about. So we're going to work together to bring down the colonial system before we now start thinking of who is going to lead us. Because if you're in slave camp, your first need will be to leave this plantation, to leave the slave camp, to end the slavery, not choosing who is the head slave or who is the monitor prefect, who is the one that will dining hall prefect, or who is social prefect inside the slave camp. That's not how it's done. Freedom first. Freedom first. Bring down the apartheid constitution. Bring down the cage. Bring down the thing that has tied us for over 1,500 years. Bring it down first, collectively, because we are all victims in the hands of these evildoers. We played the last section. Sorry that this is taking long. It's so important. That's why we are playing it for you. Let's listen.
But they load it onto the head of those who own it, that the whole country will pay that debt. Why are you borrowing the money? Where's the production to which it's going? And all of those who the so-called opposition people, characters like Peter Obi that will prefer to sit and just lament. Oh, they're doing wrong. They stole chicken yesterday. Now they're stealing goats, and now they're planning to steal cow. That is what Peter Obi is doing at a time we have something that can halt, that can stop, that can dismantle the robbery gang itself. He's not interested in dismantling the robbery gang. He's saying that he's the only virgin in the brothel that are running under this constitution. He's the good man that will provide leadership. How does that leadership answer the sovereignty questions that have arisen all around this union? Have we submitted our sovereignty into this union as claimed in that preamble to that constitution? Have we discussed and agreed to be in union at all? Have we agreed on the terms of the union, assuming we say, okay, let's carry on? None of those three have been done. We didn't submit ourselves into union. We didn't agree on the terms of any union. We didn't make any constitution as they claim. And you stand on all of that, and you say the problem with the country is not the constitution. What else is the problem? Is it not the constitution that creates the state items of exclusive list that makes production impossible? Let somebody ask Peter Obi. Let somebody in the public. Let P2B answer in the public how the 68 items on that exclusive list is not responsible for the production that is zero in Nigeria, because it locks down electricity, it locks down petroleum products, it locks down infrastructure, it locks down anything that can become economic, value added. It locks down security. What can you do without security? Because arms and ammunition are on that exclusive list. How will good leadership now affect that? Now they've smuggled the local government in as the third tier of government. Only the defeat of that constitution, only the decommissioning of that constitution can affect any of all the things I've counted across the last 5 minutes. Responsibility of government to you, zero. Accountability to you for money in the treasury, zero. Accountability to you for what they do with power because of immunity. They can kill people. You've seen it happen many times. They can empty the treasury. You see the Yaya Bello that is now demonstrating that there's really nothing anybody can do about what they are doing. Talking about 110 billion. You saw the woman that was, all kinds of, the kind of figures you hear is because there's immunity. And so, where we are now is that those who are planning to take us to another election in 2027, under this constitution, be informed. Let them all be informed. And when I say them, I mean all the political parties that are still talking about going to election to renew the life of that constitution. NINAS will mobilize the victims of this unitary arrangement across the length and breadth of Nigeria into a head-on coalition with those who are planning to drag us another round of elections. The religious leaders, I saw one, jingle promoting all around about how they're going to coronate one that will become their new pope in Nigeria and all kinds of nonsense. They are not talking about, some of them are talking about the rebirth of a great nation under the constitution that makes everything impossible. We are going to have an open fight with all of those who are on the side of that constitution. Anybody who is not saying as loudly as we are saying now that constitution is the problem, that constitution has to be decommissioned, and that we must go to transition now for union reconstruction or dissolve the union. Anybody who is not saying it as stridently as we are saying it now, as loudly as we are saying it now, is a part of the problem, whether it's religious leader or media controller or some kind of political party merchant, whether he's candidate or just party chieftain, across all the parties, the NGOs. Nobody will hear them now. They are just waiting for the budget of INEC to come through. Then you begin to hear them talk about electoral reform up and down. Electoral reform to do what? Under which constitution? Reverse logic it is. Electoral reform to do what? Because the constitution already guarantees the worst of outcomes. So if you say, with electoral reform, the taller candidate will win, the shorter candidate, but the constitution that levels everybody to the ground just grinds everybody to the floor level is waiting for that tall candidate. And so, let us rejoice that God in His infinite mercies has chosen this time to set up this kind of confrontation that goes to existential threshold for the members of that alliance that plunged us into this mess. For the other people who are not, who may not be familiar with all of how it can play out, we will only urge you to please listen some more, review the materials that are coming from us, because suddenly, sooner than you can all imagine, these town hall recordings will bear us witness. The numerous broadcasts we've made, numbering close to 400 now, we are closer to 400 than anything else. It was 300 a long time ago. Will bear us witness, because when we warned our people about going to election in 2023 and the kind of things that will happen to them if they insisted on going to renew the life of that constitution, they thought it would never happen. They thought they had seen the worst. Before Buhari came, we were warning the ones there that don't go. They didn't listen. We saw what happened, and Fulani that came in since then are not going nowhere yet until that constitution collapses and we take charge of our spaces and begin to take responsibility for our security and every other, thing we need to survive in our spaces, to thrive in our spaces, to compete with the rest of the world in innovation and progress. The tax reform, the so-called tax reform, is a bypass for the reconstruction of union that needs to happen sooner than later. In fact, yesterday. And we cannot approach this matter by any piecemeal solution.
Nope.
Those who thought, let's go and do local government autonomy, it will bring development to the. Then let us accept that on all fronts. Are we not surprised that in one breath, Yoruba flag is going up on 10 Downing Street? People presenting petition to say we are fed up. Then a bunch of charlatans gather in Finland to declare their Biafra Republic. The international community listening. The people that you are signing all these deals with are listening. They know that the project is disputed. Yes. The project is disputed. The construction site is undisputed land. That is what Nigeria is now. Only an investor that is a criminal who want to go and put investors' funds, third parties' monies into such a gamble, except there's something they want to come and steal, like the oil they pre-sold, like the gas they pre-sold. They may be pretending they're coming to do other things by way of investment, and then they start military base, and then they begin to excavate what they want to excavate and plunge us into an unending war, because that is how they operate. Anybody ever heard about the economic hitman? We have one, not only in our midst, in the saddle of power as president of your Nigeria. It's a dangerous situation, except we stand up and do what we need to do to get rid of that situation, in the sense of taking down the constitution that enables all of that, going into the transition that will replace all of what has gone wrong. If we're not doing it, we're preparing ourselves to sink deeper into the mud we've already sunk into. We stop here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, everyone. You've heard it. My people will say, my ear is not bigger than your own. It's the way I'm hearing it. That's the way you're hearing it. And like we told you last week, if you hear the truth and refuse to work with the truth or drop the truth and go and start doing something else, I tell you, you're only doing yourself. So we're enjoying the interaction we are having. Our people are commenting and we are replying, and we'll reply later also. So Sister Mona, we're having technical issues, and we'll continue with this show. She will join us anytime she's able to make it. That's what it is. She has gotten where the network is what it is. We'll move, we'll continue to go. So the topic, like we said, is the key to reversing the African and Nigerian situation. The key to reversing the African and Nigerian situation. We told you that under Ninas, we have the problems properly diagnosed, and then the solution is on the table. So there is a key. All these things you heard us talking about, discussing, there is a key to reversing it. Yes. Are we not excited that we have a key to end this sorrow? So we give us a quote because many people are seeing what is going on. We are not the only ones saying it. The quote is from George Friedman. He says, decade by decade, it's astonishing the amount of radical, unthinkable changes we have witnessed in the world over a relatively short period of time. He said, what is even more astonishing is how certain constants have been maintained in the midst of all these radical changes. Yes, changes have been happening, but there are certain things that the world said, this one, it must not change. We'll sit on it. We will make sure it doesn't change. Every other thing can change. They can have World War I, World War II, whatever they're doing, or rise and fall of kingdoms and empires. But you see this one, it must not change. All of us must sit on it so that it doesn't change. What is that? What is that thing that has remained constant? You see, for over 1,500, that 1,500 years, the West and Arab economic relationship with Africa has remained constant. If they are not stealing human resources in the name of slavery, they will be exploiting mineral resources. They intentionally intend to leave Africa underdeveloped and leave it as a wasteland in perpetuity. So in all these changes, those who make changes and those who wait for changes to happen to them have also remained constant. Africans, unfortunately, wait for change to happen to them. And their governments, rather than serve the people, bully them. The government we have in Nigeria is to bully Nigerians. It's not to serve the people. The government representatives, they're not there to serve you. They are there to bully you. If you do fame, you see. As a result, all the indigenous peoples of Nigeria, for example, have become so incapacitated. And their rich ancestral lands turned into wastelands, thereby reducing over 250 million people to potential beggars and scavengers. Yes, all of you are beggars. It's just that the beggars are in different levels. Some beggars are on the ground, their almajiri is carrying plastic plates from scavenging dustbin and trash. Some beggars are in the next level, the celebrities, the yeye-brities. Those ones are begging with style. Yes. Then the politicians, those that are associating with them. Yeah. Those ones at the airports, everywhere. Everybody is a beggar. It's just that it's different level. Men are begging, women are begging, children are begging, adults begging, everybody begging, scavenging, looking for what to eat. In a land full of resources. And somebody is not asking what is going on here. They have kept our people away from tables where decisions about their lives and destiny are made. So today, in this show, we are going to continue to explain the recommendations made by the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, that is NINAS. I'll repeat it because we want the name NINAS to enter inside your head. You know why? Because for 25 years, they have worked to bring out to make proper diagnosis and bring the proper solution. But people keep plagiarizing their work. Today they will come, we want to fight for justice. Tomorrow they will come, we want to fight for food. Tomorrow they will come, change police, end SARS, end in the mall, end in the Atoro. One thing is needed. That's what Yeshua said. He said, Mary, Mary, you worry yourself for too many things, Mary. One thing is needed. And Martha, your sister, has made a wise decision. So all these things you are fighting. Oh, this one is not this. Just one fight is what you needed. One, end colonialism. One thing. End colonialism. That's the common chain holding all of us. End colonialism and all the colonial structures. Bupuha, take them out. That's all you need to do. Because once that is done, every other thing will be fixed. So we'll continue to explain the recommendations of NINAS and how NINAS is leading the self-determination task at both the international scene and local scene. It's not by noise making. We keep telling you, it's not about noise making. So please continue to share, like, and subscribe. Continue to invite people into this conversation. Come, bring them, everybody. Bring your brother, your church people, your group people, your organization, your alumni. All of them, bring them to this table. Let's continue to discuss. We'll pull up our PowerPoint because we like to use PowerPoint in the sense that when you are looking at it, you're not only hearing, but you're seeing it. Do you understand? You hear and see it. If you didn't hear the one I said very well, because sometimes this English is not our language. Yes, I'm an Igbo woman. I speak Igbo, but we have to use English. So the one we don't speak very well or we don't pronounce very well, you will read it and say, okay, is that what she was trying to pronounce? Yes, that is what I'm trying to pronounce. You too. Like my children, I'll say, mommy is like this. He said like this. I say, that one he said. The way he said it, that is it. That's what I had in mind to say. So we look at the PowerPoint. Again, our topic is the key to reversing the African and Nigerian situation. We have already played the videos, supporting videos. We're giving you the introduction. We'll go into PowerPoint now, where we'll break it down for you. Of course, the introduction has been said. The subtitle is Neo-Colonial Structures and the Imposed Constitutional Arrangements. We also have the key to reversing the African and Nigerian situation. We'll give you take-home points and then some announcements. We'll run through it fast because our time is fast spent. Of course, you know that this whole video is for educational purposes. We are not doing it because we just want to, we are doing it to educate our people because information is power. Information is key. So it's important our people get informed. That's what we're trying to do. Africa, there's the work is referenced on an article written by Tony Nadi on 2nd of September. It said African revolts, overthrowing imposed constitutional arrangements to terminate neo-colonial structures in Africa. African revolts, overthrowing imposed constitutional arrangements to terminate neo-colonial structures in Africa. So we want to give you the neo-colonial, we want to give you the tell you how the neo-colonial structures, how they are related to the imposed constitutional arrangements. For some reason, this, the content of this slide is not showing. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not showing, but okay. That means maybe there's a delay. Okay, we'll continue. Whether it shows or not, we'll just continue. So say, what is constitution? What does constitution mean? What does constitution mean? Constitution is union arrangement, the structure. So when you hear constitution, we're not talking about just the written book. So whether it's written or not written is the union arrangement. That is when you hear the constitution, and Nina is making noise about constitution is the arrangement, the structure, that system that they imposed on our people. So whether we are talking about the Boer imposed segregation order of 1910, by which the apartheid constitution of South Africa was imposed, that's an example of constitution. That's in South Africa. We were there. We fought apartheid with them. That's what was going on. It was the apartheid constitution. They set up the system, but they have to put it in a documentation and their whole arrangement, that apartheid arrangement that you are fighting and singing. Bring back Mandela. Bring back Nelson Mandela. Bring her back to meet Winnie Mandela. All that thing. You remember, some of you, when you were small, you were hearing all those songs, all those fights and everything. That's what was going on. They were fighting against that system to bring it down because it was the chain holding the South African people down. Are we talking about the December 1913 British order in council, the colonial decree, by which the Nigerian Union was imposed via the amalgamation of January 1, 1919? We're just showing you this. The slide is not, the content is not showing, so that's why I just left it on this picture. But just pay attention, please, and then we'll continue. Or are we talking about the colonial pact of France, the one that they imposed on the Francophone countries of West and Central Africa? Is the same constitution we're talking about. Or we are talking about decree number 24 of May 25, 1999, by which Abdul Salam Abubakar, the so-called 1999 constitution, imposed colonialism on Nigeria. Is the same thing we are talking about. Is the same constitution. So when you hear constitution, you will not think it's just to go and bring the paper and write another paper. That's not what it is. It's the arrangement, the entire system. Of course, some, when they finish, they will write it in a paper. Some, they will not write it in a paper. But that structure, the person that said, oh, that this is how they have to put Nigeria, we tie this one together, tie this, all those things they did, break them into 36 states, all those things they did, is the constitutional arrangement. That's the structure. It has rendered our people powerless and incapacitated. What is common to all these structures that we're talking about, all these constitutional arrangements? What is common? Colonialism, neocolonialism. That is what is common. That you are not going to be in charge of your life and your destiny. That's what the whole structure is all about. They will tie your hands and you will not be in charge of your destiny. Remember what we used to tell us all the time about this man called Fulani man. They say Sir Amadu Bello. It should not be called Sir Amadu Bello. But he said something interesting. He said, the new nation called Nigeria should be an estate of our great-grandfather Uthman Dan Fodio. We must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. We use the minorities of the North, he was talking about the Middle Belt then, as willing tools. Now we have more willing tools. The politicians, your brothers and sisters, all the people holding on to that 1999 constitution are the willing tools. So they will use them as willing tools. And the South, the entire South, whether you're Yoruba, Ishekiri, Ijo, Igbo, all of you, has conquered territory and never allow them to rule over us and never allow them to have control over their future. This is somebody's thoughts. So that's why we say that all of those constitutions, what they have in common, these examples we gave to you, what they have in common is that they are colonial structure. neo-colonial structure. When people shouted about colonialism, they said, okay, let's give them freedom. It's not freedom. They just gave you flag freedom and switched it to neo-colonialism. So it continued. So in neo-colonialism, you will not see the white man in your space. You will see your own brother, your own sisters. They are puppets. Those politicians and church leaders are their puppets to the colonial monsters. So the colonial monsters stepped aside and brought your brothers and sisters, so that when you look, you say, has the white man not left? Who is doing you? Is it not your brother that is doing you? And some people will say, Igbo people are doing themselves. Yoruba people are doing themselves. It's doing you. The more you look, the less you see. But on this platform, we will make you to see. Open your eyes, open your brain, so that the more you look, the more you will see. I'm not doing you boju. We want you to see clear and you're sapogi. So what they have in common is meant to create master-slave union, like parasitic relationship, like monkey they walk, baboon they chop type of relationship. That's what it's meant to do. They were imposed by the colonial masters for their benefits, not for your own benefits. It's not for you. The system was not put in place for you. It's for the colonial monsters. We're telling you what they have in common. Another thing they have in common is that they're against the will of the indigenous peoples. That desire that you have, that thing that you want, you will never get it under their constitution. Another thing is that they hijack and take away the sovereignty of the indigenous peoples. There's no citizenship, no rights. Yes, for our brother Dele, oh, you're not a citizen. You can't be a citizen in a slave camp. You are in a slave camp, the colony of the white man. How can you be a citizen? You're not a citizen. So it means that you don't have citizenship rights. The people, therefore, became slaves in their own ancestral lands. So slave trade was about moving Africans out of Africa to another land. Colonialism is about enslaving you while you are in your own land. Either way, you are still a slave. Whether you are an African continent or you have left, you are still a slave. Anywhere you find yourself, you are still a slave. Even when you are living in America, living in UK, speaking like Oyibo man, you are still, your skin has made you a slave. And that's what the system is all about. So they always have local agents who implement these structures. Yes, because they can't work alone. Like we told you, neocolonialism is about having local agents. Colonialism is the white man coming physically. Neocolonialism is the white man stepping aside, getting local agents and using local agents to do what they have been doing. It has not changed. So Britain and their Fulani counterpart, for those that don't like us to call Fulani, it's not hate speech. It is fact, it's history. So you go and investigate and find out what we're saying. That's why it's the herdsmen that are moving up and down, killing people. It's not Yoruba people, it's not Ijaw people, it's not Ishekri people. They have an assignment. They are no more carrying stick. They are carrying AK-47. Buhari even said it once that he was addressed. He said, my people used to carry stick. Why are they carrying gun? He now started saying, oh, it's from, he gave example that he came from wherever, whatever. On a story, they told story. So Britain and their local agent, the Fulani that they are using, imposed the unitary union on the peoples. That's the constituent components of Nigeria. The people that thought that they had a nation to build. And they came, that they are called constituent members. They came with their lands and their assets. So, okay, let's form a union. Let's work together. But they didn't know that they were deceived. There's no union. It is still colonialism. Nigeria is still a colony, not a union of equal partners. It's master-slave relationship. So it's not yet a union that can work for you. That's what we're talking about. Decolonization. We're talking about removing the entire colonial system. The same thing also happened in France. France and their local agents, they worked across the West and Central African, the so-called Francophone countries. They imposed the pact of continued colonization on the indigenous peoples of West and African, Central African countries. It's the same thing. It did not change. It's not different. It's the same thing. And we have shown you this picture. It says shackles on Africa and Nigeria. First, slave trade, then colonialism, now neocolonialism by the same people, the West and the Arab. And of course, we told you that, you remember, they use religion, Christianity and Islam. It's just to distract you, to confuse you, to make you think they're bringing something for you, but they are not. So now the slide is back showing, so we'll continue. So the system, they're talking about the neo-colonial structures that they're using. This system of injustice, impunity, and terrorism will eventually get to everyone. Everybody go chop breakfast. You go chop them. It go happen to you. If it not happen to you on top, it go happen to you on the ground. If it not happen to you on ground, it go happen to you on middle. Because you know what? We are all in the same slave camp. So even if you are in the center of the slave camp, you are still a slave. If you are by the side of the slave camp, you are still a slave. Even if you are the head slave, making sure that nobody escapes, you are still a slave. So everybody go chop breakfast. You see this breakfast, everybody go chop them. So for those of you that have been hearing us come here every Saturday as Daughters of Truth to break down the thing to you, and you're saying, no, I don't want to hear. My ear, they pain me. I do buga. Yes, I have brand new cars. At least I'm moving with the big boys. We are rolling. Yes, it's dollar. You know, I just bought bread. It will still happen to you because it will get to you. One day, you might decide to criticize a politician or criticize one big man or one big madam or one big man's wife or one big man's pastor or imam or one big man's mistress or children. Your mouth to go, you know, Nigeria now, their mouth, no, they keep quiet. Your mouth must drive rough. One day you go criticize them. You know what? They will visit you. They will come. That handcuff, you go wear them. So by the time everybody chop breakfast, then we will realize that we don't have a nation. And that the so-called national cake is poisoned cake. Do you understand? You chop them, you go buy. So the best thing is for us to think of how we want to do this thing. We told you that Nigeria is a rogue state. Only criminals can agree to lead Nigeria in this as presently constituted. Only criminals. There's no genuine person that really wants to help the people that we agree to be the president of Nigeria for 1 second. Because there's nothing you can do under the 1999 Constitution to make it good for the people. So if you are agreeing to go and be voted for, to come and lead under the 1999 Constitution, it just tells us that you're a criminal. That's all. Because if you're not a criminal, you will want to remove the shackles off the hands of the people. The thing they used to tie the mouth of the people, you want to remove it first before you begin to lead them. A country with no sanctity of life, a country where we told you there's no equal partnership, you want to come and be the leader? To lead to where? So the world will eventually realize that making a segment of the earth or a country a wasteland and an ungovernable space is counterproductive. It will affect everyone. It will affect everyone. They will eventually understand that colonialism and neo-colonialism is the biggest crime against humanity. Everybody will get to that realization. And so far there's God on this earth, everybody will get to it. Because if it don't happen to you today, it will happen to you tomorrow. So the world will eventually be divided into those who subscribe to justice and equity. Because you cannot tell me that you subscribe to justice and equity, and we are telling you what they did to Africa and what they're still doing to Africans today, and you are not coming out to say, let's go. What do we do to fix it? So eventually, we are going to get to the point where everyone on this earth who subscribes to justice and equity will begin to shout against colonialism and neocolonialism. Otherwise, you saying that you support justice and equity will be fallacy. You're just talking. So the world is going to divide into those who prefer freedom and those who prefer bondage. Those who want to help reverse African unfortunate backward situation, because it's going to come. Like we said, everybody will chop breakfast, and then we will all, as humanity, collectively agree the way we agreed and brought down transatlantic slave trade. Everybody became abolitionist. That's the same way we are all going to fight against colonialism and neocolonialism, because everybody go chop breakfast, and everybody's already chopping the breakfast. Some people say, oh, our border, protect our border. Hey, these people are coming, immigrants are coming. You've not asked your government what they did that made people, smoking people out of their land, and all of them hanging on top of your wall like refugees. You've not asked your government what they have been doing in Africa. So the world will get to when people, we will see people coming, see social media, they will be everywhere saying, please, let's help Africa. It's not the one that help Africa to give African children $5, $1. No, that's not the help we're talking about. To reverse this evil that has been done on a people, an entire continent. It will divide to those who want to make Africa to begin to operate in full capacity. Because if Africa is operating in full capacity, I'm telling you, the world will change. The world will be a better place. Africa will be a thriving space that can compete with the rest of the world. That is where we're going. That is where we are going. We keep saying, help us to share, invite people, subscribe if you have not, because we have a lot of videos that you need to learn so that you be on the right side of things. We look at the segment, the key to reversing the African and Nigerian situation. Remember, that's the main topic. But we needed to give you background information. We needed to guide you first so that you understand, okay, what is going on? How do we do it? There is a key, like we told you. The first thing that you need to do is to understand the situation. Understand what we said that is happening in Africa and in Nigeria. You need to understand it. Calm down. Kulu temper. Kulu. It's not by, oh, shouting, hey, whoa, they are killing us. No. Calm down. Pay attention. Listen. Because if you don't understand the problem, you will not understand the solution. And you will go and get yourself in the wrong place. We don't want that to happen. We want our people to be preserved. We want our people to be preserved. So understanding the situation is the first step. Then understanding the pathway to remedy the situation. We told you the situation is colonization, slavery of an entire continent. How do we remedy it? A new system. We are not amending colonialism. We are not fixing neocolonialism. We are removing it completely. Decolonization, removing it completely. So because when you understand what we're saying, you join in the campaign for complete decolonization of Africa, of course, Nigeria and other African countries. How? By recovering the sovereignty of the indigenous ethnic nationalities. That is when and how we lost the sovereignty and the power. over our ancestral lands, our assets and resources. It's simple. Freedom. There's slavery. How do we end slavery? Terminate slavery, terminate slavery systems and structures, and free the people. Simple. It's so simple like this, so straightforward. You're not going to do economic freedom and then do religious freedom separately and do that one freedom. No, because they are together in that system. We told you the colonial system operates through three tools: ignorance, fear, and military terrorism. They're together. So you can't remove one and leave the other. We have to remove the entire system. You need to understand that NINAS is leading the Nigerian leg of that urgent task. At the core of that task is the dismantling of the colonial and neo-colonial constitutional structures and the reconfiguration of our constitutional structures in exercise of sovereignty to serve our own interests, not the interest of the colonial monsters, not the interest of IMF, not the interest of World Bank and all this nonsense you're calling. All those ones are all the fingers of colonialism. Power must return back to the people so that we can free the people, and they will begin to live their life the way they're supposed to live, and the world will be a better place. Remember, we told you that this article, this part of the slide is based on the article written by Mr. Tony Nnadi on September 2nd, 2023. It was titled African Revolt: Overthrowing Imposed Constitutional Arrangements to Terminate Neo-Colonial Structures in Africa. We continue. Remember, we are talking about the key to reversing the situation in Africa. If you missed any part of this video, please later you come back and go to it so that you understand what we are talking about. Because if you don't understand the entire concept, you will be making comments that kind of disgracing you in public, because you think maybe it's a personal fight, it's an individual. No. It's a whole complete structure, so you understand it. And then when you make comments in public, you'll be making informed comments. You will not be disgracing yourself just because you're hiding behind a phone or laptop. We want our people to be articulate, to have sense. Not just our people, not just African, the entire world, humanity, human beings. We want human beings to think, talk like humans, not like animals. Use the brain given to you by your creator so that when you talk, you will make sense. So the task before those who find themselves in this situation is to overthrow such imposed constitutions, the union arrangements. You need to overthrow it along with the enforcers of such constitutions. All of them, both the constitution, both the people, because the constitution created the people that are enforcing it. So you're not going to remove the constitutional arrangement and leave those ones behind. All of them, all their government establishment, everything needs to be phased out. That's why we'll talk about transition. Because in transitioning, you move from point A to point B. You're phasing out an old system, like old wine. And you can't put a new wine in an old wine skin. It has to be new wine in new wine skin. So that's why everything goes out. So the revolution to overthrow such imposed union arrangements could be led by patriots in the military in the form of coup d'etats, as we have seen in Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Sudan, Gabon. You can see it happening, So that's a way of doing it. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it could also be by popular mass revolts, as we have seen in Arab Spring that swept through northern African countries of Tunisia, Algeria, and Egypt a few years ago. We have seen it. We saw when it happened. And then we're bringing up the video for you, the map. Look at this map. You see this map? You see when all these coup d'etats happening. You saw Chad. If you look at it, you see it's following a pattern. You see that red place? You see what is going on? You see, it's following a pattern. They are breaking away. All these are mainly the Francophone countries that got France with their own pact for colonization, continued colonization, used to hold them down. And these things have details of what they have been doing. So you see, these people are freeing themselves. So the coup we have seen across the West and Central African sub-regions since 2021 have been mostly by the indigenous military officers in the armed forces of those countries. They are the ones overthrowing the imposed union arrangements. That's the constitution of their land, of the colonial master, not of their land, and to recover their hijacked sovereignties. So if you go on Google, you're going to see this map. You study it better and understand what is going on. So you see, it's a pattern. You see how it's going? You see how it's going. So we keep telling people that freedom is coming to Africa. Somebody said, don't make excuses. We're not making excuses. We're not here to make excuses. We are here to tell you what is going on. Our story is what we're telling. We are telling our story. We are telling you what happened to us. And we are telling you how we are going to fix the problem. So like we keep saying, don't come here and make comments that do not align with what is being discussed. On this platform, we want human beings to behave like human beings. You don't want human beings to talk as if they are maybe AI or one kind of robot that is just talking without thinking. So that's why we come here, to help our people to use their brain, understand the problem, and then be part of the solution. Everybody must be part of this solution because it's important for everybody to be part of it. So we salute the courage of the patriots who are leading the charge for this long overdue liberation of Africa across the various countries already undergoing transformation. We salute people like our sister, Dr. Arikana. I might not pronounce her name very well. Say Chihumbori Kwa. You see her beautiful picture. We also have Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, and then others that we can't mention here. These are patriots. They're already leading because information is key. They are taking charge in awakening our people. When they saw certain information, they did not keep quiet. They did not say, oh, let me stay here. I'm enjoying my position and be buying cars, buying designer wares, doing this. I don't care if I talk now, enter trouble. No. They brought out certain information to awake the people. That is what you are seeing happening in their land, because information is power to liberation. So they led charge to awake the people to this urgent task of liberating Africa from the bondage of slavery and colonialism. We are not covering it. We are not going to be shy about it. No, we will say it as it is. That's why we are daughters of truth. Colonialism and neocolonialism is still going on. We are not making excuses. We are saying it as it is. That's one change that has not happened because some people are sitting on it. So we pull up another one. We are telling you some of our patriots are already working because we keep telling our people it's not by noise making. There is a strategy to it. There is a way it has to be done. So our sister, Kemi Badnock, she said, I'm Yoruba. I have nothing in common with Boko Haram heaven of northern Nigeria. That's what she said. Why did she say? There's a note to that. I'll read the note. He said, Badnock, however, is ready to fight. Her Nigerian heritage often comes up in conversations about her straight talking style. But she says this misses the point. But she says this misses the point. I find it interesting. Everybody defines me as being Nigerian. I identify less with the country than with the specific ethnicity, Yoruba. That's what I am. I have nothing in common with the people from the north of the country, the Boko Haram, where the Islamism is. Those were our ethnic enemies. And yet you end up being lumped in with those people. This is somebody speaking at the international scene. So what we're saying is not what you say from under the table. It is not. Okay, I got a message that somebody called Odera or whatever. I've not seen the comment he made. Something about election boycotts. No, we're not talking about election boycott, please. We are talking about bringing down the whole structure. Think out now, my people. Let your brain move faster. Expand your brain. We are not talking about election boycott that you do on election day. No, those ones are the things that criminals do. We are talking about the entire system, the entire structure, stopping the whole vehicle. We are not even going to any, that is, the election is not holding. The campaign is not starting. I don't know if you're understanding it. It's called transition. We move from point A to point B. It's not some people doing election and some people not doing. Some people voting and some people not voting. No. That's not what we're saying. We are talking about joining this campaign. All of us would make enough noise because it's called building consensus. You see, we are telling you some of the noise, things that people are already saying at national level and international level. This comment that Kemi made, it means no union. A top politician in Britain is standing up to say this type of thing. There are certain people that just a phrase, all they need is just a phrase or just a word is enough. That's why we say there is a strategy. This is not what you do under the table in your mother's kitchen, or you be hiding and running around inside bush and shouting, they're killing me, they're killing me. No, that's not how this type of fight is fought. It's a big fight, and it has to be fought the right way. On the table. We are not people to be under the table, running up and down under the table and saying, oh, please, now leave me alone. No. We have moral justification for what we are demanding for. But you have to do it respectfully. You respect yourself. You respect your neighbor. You respect even the people you're discussing with. You will talk it until they will look stupid. This thing we are pushing, there's a place we will reach. When you come on social media and say certain things, you will look very stupid because everybody will look at you like, who is this one? Where are you coming from? Which Imofia did they bring you out from? Because this conversation is going to take center table. Yes, I promise you. He's going to take center. We will fix it. Like I said, everybody go chop breakfast. And everybody is already chopping breakfast. So the statement that Kemi made means no union. It means stop calling me a Nigerian. I'm not a Nigerian. I'm a Yoruba woman. That's what she's saying. So that thing you people did and mix everybody like ngongo inside pot of soup is not working. I'm not recognizing it. She had the boldness to say it. So I tell you, conversations are going on. Discussions are going on. We are only inviting you to be part of the conversation. We are bringing you in. Because if you don't have the information, you will not know how to be part of the conversation. If you go there, you'll be making noise. You think it's Inzukon Umonna, or you think it's beer parlor discussion where people are talking under the influence of alcohol. Madam, give me one bottle. No, we don't want you to be in that group of people that your brain is not functioning. That's why we come here every Saturday, to give you the information you need. So that once the conversation starts, I mean, it's already going on. If it gets to your table, where you are, you will know what to say. When you open your mouth, wisdom will come out. So, of course, Ninas is leading this task of sovereignty recovery, because we told you sovereignty recovery. They took our power and sovereignty away, though not legally, because you can't take somebody's sovereignty. They imposed something to suppress our sovereignty. So we want to get the full recovery of it. So we're talking about union reconfiguration, and Ninas is leading it. It's humongous task to end neocolonialism, to end colonialism officially. So we are witnessing the terminal phase of centuries of enslavement and colonization of Africa. We told you here that 1884-85, they balkanized Africa to themselves. So it's centuries of enslavement. I told you it's over 1500. There's not something that you just started now, or you just when your brother entered into Aso Rock. No, it's a big thing. So don't make it personal. Each time we are talking about this thing, please do not make it personal. Do not make it something that you say, hey, leave my mother alone, no, leave my father alone, no. No, we don't even know your mother, your father. It's a big fight. We're talking about a whole continent. So Ninas is leading that task as indigenous peoples of Africa come to the consciousness threshold to enact joint jailbreak that we finally liberate Africa from the yoke and bondage of colonialism. Inano, did you hear? Of course, that's our brother, Ratuni Nadi. For those that don't know him, he's been on this fight with others. He's a spokesperson. That's why you see more of him. But bigger people, communities, many people are part of the conversation going on. It's not about noise making. No, it's not. People are preparing themselves, getting ready to take back what is rightly theirs. And you know what? This fight is a win-win for Africans and Europeans and other parts of the world. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for all. After all these rolling centuries of being an oppressor, if Western countries can find the morality, to stop the criminality of neocolonialism against Africans, then African economic migration to Europe and other parts of the world, like US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, will stop. The only reason you're seeing our people roaming everywhere, hanging and asking you for visa, asking you for Adoro, asking you for government support, is because you took our land. It's because of colonialism and neocolonialism. So if you don't want to see our people around you asking you for food, babiyala, and begging everything, allow us to go fix our land, leave our land alone. Our sister Ndidi Wecha is the one that prepared this slide. So please continue to share. We can see your comment, but we can't get to some of your comments now. We'll definitely reply later. So, and subscribe if you have not. So give us take-home point, because our time is far spent. Just my sister, we had issue with connection. So Sister Mona couldn't come back. Take-home points. For over 1,500 years, the West and Arab economic relationship with Africa has remained constant and negative. Africans and Africa and African countries have been exploited all these years. We die that they might live. We are kept underdeveloped that they might develop. They began with stealing human beings, slavery, and then switched to exploiting our mineral resources. Their plan, of course, is to make sure that Africa remains underdeveloped, remains a wasteland. But the danger of that is that you have now made Africa and African countries, especially Nigeria, for instance, an ungovernable space. And when you have a space that is not governed, evil can happen there. Terrorism will breed. And when you are cooking up terrorism in one part of the world, remember the world is becoming a global village. Terror will visit you wherever you are. No matter how you close your borders, they will find a way to come in. So we cannot afford at this time of our development as human beings, humanity cannot afford to continue to keep Africa underdeveloped. No. Africa must collectively revolt to overthrow all imposed constitutional arrangements to terminate the neo-colonial structures in Africa and in Nigeria. It is a tax that must be done. Because you know what? It will make Africa to begin to operate in full capacity. It will make Africa to begin to reverse the situation. Those negative things you hear about Africa and Nigeria, they will reverse if we end colonialism. Because we will begin to thrive in our species and in our homelands. And we'll be able to compete with the rest of the world. That's if you believe that all humans are born equal and that every human life is sacrosanct. Join Nina's in what my sister is sending me a message. Many things going on. It is okay. She's with us in the spirit. I feel her and I know that she's here. So Sister Mona, you're good. We are doing it. So we'll show you this step because we're about to finish up now. We'll show you number one because it's a step we're going up. If you can understand this step, repudiation of 1999 Constitution is been ongoing. We are where you're enforcing it. So it's step one. Then we did constitutional force majeure, which we did 16 December 2020. This year is going to be the 4th year anniversary, and we're going to get the information for you. That's by next week. That's Monday exactly. Ninat is planning something for that day. We'll just keep your eye on Nina's platform and Daughters of Truth platform. We are going to get to you. If we can handle it, we might do something here too to transmit everything they're doing live, but we'll see how it goes. So that's number two. Where we are now is number three, transition, because we told you we are not anarchists. We are not people that want to bring war. No. It's the colonial masters that fund war. They fund war and crisis everywhere so that they can make money to sell ammunition, sell weapons. They are weapons of mass destruction. They are on this earth to destroy, but we are builders. Our ancestors built. So that's where we are building. We build and develop. We don't destroy. No, we don't destroy. So we are going to move from this system, this evil system, this destructive system, this dark system, devilish, demonic system, to the system of light. So we are transmitting from darkness to light. That's why it's called transition. So you're going to be part of it, but you need information. So that's where we are. Then we'll move to referendums and plebiscites, because that's in the current world, in the modern society, that's how human beings speak. You're not going to speak on behalf of people and say, oh, you are called Nigeria. You are called Biafra. You are called this. That's not how it's done. People on their ancestral lands, ethnic people on their ancestral land, in their own capacity, we speak. Say where they belong by themselves. Say whether they want to go with you or they don't want to go with you. They will say it. You will not be saying, did they say? Like somebody say, okay, justice is not just when it's done, but justice, it will be that you have, everybody will see that justice has been done. So when they do referendum or plebiscite, we are not guessing. Did they do? What did Shekiri people say? We are not sure. What did Ijaw people say? What Yoruba people? No, we will be sure, because it will be done in the noontime. It's not in darkness where people say, did you do a referendum? Where did you do it? No. everybody will see it. We will drive this vehicle until we get to that point. And every ethnic nation, in their own rights, because self-determination is their own, in their original tongue, in their original land, in their ancestral homeland, whatever they are called, Ichekiri, Ijo, Tiv, whatever they are originally called, they know their maps and they know their boundaries. Like that, they will speak unequivocally, and everybody will hear what they said, and they will decide, we are coming or we are not coming. And then, before we now talk about constitutional order, new constitutional order, new system, because when they now finish that their meetings and agreements amongst themselves, they will now come, okay, we want to relate with you based on these terms and conditions. And then we now start the relationship. That is when we know that we have done what we are supposed to do. So having said that, we know that what we want now is transition. Transition now. Not talk of one type of draft somebody's making somewhere, or one confab, or one people just coming up with ideas, sleep, wake up and say, hey, I think it's this thing they will do. No. It's not fake electoral reform. Of course, those that are talking about that one, their enemies have carried them into one place. One thing about this struggle is that the struggle protects you because you are looking for what is yours and you're not encroaching on other people's rights. That's why I tell people, be part of what NINAS is doing, because the structure of NINAS protects you. Some people say, why they are not? Because if you do something the right way, nobody will have right to come to your door and knock, because you're following the right step, internationally accepted. So nobody will put any tag on you and call you one name or the other. So we need to shut down every other discussion going on. The only discussion we want going on everywhere, that's if you want liberation, is transition. Even if you just go to your social media handle, all you are writing is transition now, N 1999 constitution, NINAS is right. If that's all you are doing, if that's the post you are putting, Twitter, everywhere, you are doing the right thing. But if you go there and start calling their name one by one, hey, Mr. Lagbaja, your head is like coconut. Hey, Mr. Okoronkwo, your nose is like umbrella. The system will look for opportunity to come for you, because to them, you have made the fight a personal fight. But we don't want the fight to be individual fights. We don't want it to be, I saw you, you eyed my wife that time. I'm coming for you. Oh yeah, you too, see you. I remember my car that you bashed the other day. We don't want all those type of distractions, because they are distraction to the conversation, the important conversation that we are having. We don't want it to be personal fight or individual fight between you and somebody. We want it to be one word. We, the people, the indigenous peoples, want self-determination. We want to decolonize our land. We want to transition from here to the next place. Following it, say NINAS is right, even if you don't have anything to say. Say NINAS is right. The official people, the professionals will discuss the rest on your behalf, so that you don't enter trouble. You don't need to enter trouble because it's your rights. We'll quickly run through the announcements. We have a spotlight on the wisdom of our ancestors. These videos are already, the Daughters of Truth videos. We've had them, we've done them before, because we noticed that people, this issue of loss of identity, our people do not even know their left from their right. So we did some of the videos on wisdom of our ancestors, trying to put our people, their mind back to themselves, looking inwards. Who am I? Why am I on this earth? What did my ancestors do? How am I related to them? How am I connected with them? How come I think or reason this way? Okay, we try to explain all that to our people. And the videos are there on Daughters of Truth. Pick up anyone. If you even type just wisdom of our ancestors on our channel, YouTube channel, or Facebook, you pull up a lot of it. You learn wisdom for what your ancestors did, and it will help you in your private life to manage your life, manage your family, manage your husband, manage your wife, manage your children, because we don't want all this crisis. That's not who we are. Our ancestors had a lot of wisdom that guided them. We have how we do things, and everybody will be happy. So we also have want our people to listen to Smart African on Spotify, our sister Ndidi, and also Clubhouse. And then Tuesday we have Twitter Tuesday. Nina's is right. Tweet Nina's is right. We stand with Nina's transition now every Tuesday. Tweet other days, but Tuesday is when we come in mass and then tweet, together, so that we'll make our tweet to go viral. And then you want to learn more, go to www.ninasvoice.org as a website. Also have www.thedaughtersoftruth.org. We have a lot of videos, a lot of teaching materials, a lot of information from archive and everything. We have all that. And then we are insisting on transition now. So these are some of our campaign materials, like, proudly Igbo. You just try to celebrate our ethnic nationality. You celebrate your own. And by the way, we are happy with what some people are doing on Nollywood. We see you're adding those vernacular, those indigenous sentences and phrases. It's amazing. And then some of you women, we are seeing you going back to your Afro hair, not Brazilian, ugly looking ntutu atoro. So we see you owning your identity, coming back to the African that you are. We say, keep pushing. That's what to do. That's the right thing to do. We don't want identity crisis. We don't want you to be Brazil on your head, Brazilian on your head. Then your waist is African. Your chest is European. No. Make up your mind where you belong. Of course, if you want to be if you're Brazilian, like you married a Brazilian person and you're not Brazilian, okay, stay there. But if you're African, please, we don't want identity crisis anymore. Stop bleaching your skin, of course. Be proud of your skin. Be proud of who you are. If you're an African woman, be proud of it. Own it. Own it. African child, own it. African man, own it. We have no reason to have identity crisis. Absolutely no reason. Because we are made in the image of God. Of course, we have some of materials. We have some people already selling it. I'll tell people to make more and sell to people so that it will move faster. And then we have Nina Secretariat, the numbers to call. Because of time, I just displayed here. And then if you need to contact the Nina Secretariat or LNC Secretariat, or, this is the number to call to be part of what is going on. We have platforms. WhatsApp platforms. If you want to be added in those platforms, please leave a comment either on Facebook or YouTube. We'll pick it up from there. And thank you very much. We have come to the end of this wonderful show. We miss my sister, Mona. We'll try again next week. Hopefully she will be here. Thank you. We love you so much. We'll go through the rest of your comments and we'll reply as those that need to be replied. And please continue to share, continue to have this conversation. We love you. Cannot do without you. You are our people. You are it's about you. Remember, freedom, self-determination, it's your right. But there's a process. Thank you very much. And we'll say bye. We end it here.